Welcome back, everybody. Yep. Such stout professionalism right here on the Squatchers Lounge podcast. That's right. You'd think after 8 seasons we could get it right, but nah, not in my mental condition. Anyhow, welcome back to the show, everybody. It is indeed Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Do you know where your children are? Well, they better be sitting in the house next to you in most of the states in America. Holy crap. Wow. What a weird time in America. That is absolutely for sure. We are on martial law lockdown for no reason in most places, but hey, we're here live Wednesday night on YouTube. Let's talk about Bigfoot for, the next 30 minutes and forget about all that crap. Daisy is in the box. It was December of 2012 when all this mess started, and boy, it was strange. Didn't know what to expect about it. Kind of my birthing into the Bigfoot world was Daisy. Daisy itself. Now, I'd been around for a while. The Squatchers Lounge had been around for a while, and we'd excuse me. Yeah, it is seasonal pollen season too. Not to be confused with the Rona. I don't have the Rona, but I do have seasonal allergies that are just absolutely killing me. So pardon me. That might not be the last time I sneeze tonight. Anyhow, so there I was sitting at my desk, going through the Bigfoot stuff of the day, and what pops up on my screen is a cryptid message. Today, I received a text from the Flash List routing server. December 27th, 2012 at 10:09 a.m. As of 9:06/27 December 2012, Daisy is in the box. I believe this message is factually correct, because when we referred to Bigfoot while under observation, we used the term target, and the destination was to change to Daisy once captured. This was never published or posted anywhere. Sync is capture control, and 6 is the chief or lead. No one else would have known this. Plus, the routing and IP information matches. I believe Quantra has a live specimen. If this is correct, then I congratulate them on a job well done. Signed, Ed Smith. Now, as a Bigfoot investigator and somebody who has gone to great lengths to visit locations and find out, information as I have done, this really, really intrigued me. D.W. Lee had brought it to the Squatchers Lounge and posted this particular information with the question, could this have happened? Now, of course, he was attached to the MABRC, and I'm not even sure if that website is even available anymore. I tried to reach it earlier today, and unfortunately, I could not. But, immediately my mind began attempting to contemplate what I just read. Is it true? Could it be done? Ah, crap, here we go again. Yeah, that was the final thought. The same group a number of weeks back in 2012 had made the claim that Ed Smith himself may have had a Bigfoot body. After some side talking and back talking and a trip to the hospital for Mr. Lee, which, by the way, I was sorry to see at the time, the story turned out to be just a possibility and not a statement of fact. They had posted a statement of "I cannot confirm or deny" for a number of days that drug the event out, that left many of us with a bad taste in our mouth of further announcements from this particular group. Time passed, people forget, and then, most cases, as it should be, unlike proven hoaxers like Dyer and Biscardi, among quite a few others these days in the community. But the Bigfoot community moved on. So now what is this? Just another possibility or a real event? Then another message is received. It appears that an unprecedented event is in motion. Having been on the inside of this operation and now observing from the outside is a defiant change. So here is what I know. Daisy has been moved to an examination area about 12 miles from the capture site at 3:17 this morning after being properly sedated. The capture site and examination area are on private property leased and or owned in order to conduct research and operations of this type. This was confirmed by a source of the Quantra group. Here is what I don't know: the weight or hair color or gender or location of the capture or the health of the specimen, nor the actions leading up to the capture of the specimen. Here is what I'm speculating. The examination team is continuing to assemble. Examination should take place in 72 hours. If they go by the plan, the decision about release or storage in a repository will be made within 48 hours after the examination is complete. If release is chosen, then a press release should be forthcoming and examination is completed. If the specimen is sent to a repository, then the press and information release would happen within 30 to 90 days. That's by the operations plans. Reasons for moving the specimen to a repository include health issues, prolonged examination, and on the darker side, private investment group interests. For clarity, the original 6 was never part of the MABRC, and the original 6 ceased operations completely. Quantra was formed with elephants of the original 6, new members, ownership, and management. I am posting this due to inaccurate reporting by some internet news shows. I would like to thank DW for posting information, as I've been unable to obtain it, as I was out of town and unable to post it myself. In my opinion, there should be a press release within the next 48 hours. I'll be in touch. Ed Smith. Now, I mean, it all sounds great, except there's no pictures. There's no video. There's no substantiation of anything except for these cryptic messages that are somehow showing up on the MABRC, even though they're not attached to the MABRC, dedicated to Mr. Ed Smith. My brain starts to speculate. This seems like it could be a real deal. I want to believe that it's really happening, at least. The community strikes back, though, of course. Where are the pictures? Where's the video? Show us something, or this is a hoax and you're all liars. Personally, I've set aside the personal feelings to really take an in-depth look at what's really going on. First, Quantra has no obligation other than to their own backers to produce anything to anyone. I'll be the first person that admits that I'm the biggest nobody in Bigfooting and realize that they don't know me squat. If they really do have an animal in a box, and there are plenty of pictures and video evidence once they feel it deems ready for release, if I discovered the formula to turn lead into gold, do you think I'd share it? You know, taking a real long look at the media world, clear documented HD video footage would be worth tens of millions to the team. So why just fling it out there? There are other concerns for the group as well, as they still have an animal contained, and now it seems under study. I decided to take the time to read the protocols posted on the MABRC forum, and just to see how they intend to go about catching a Bigfoot, and learned the intent appeared to be to release the animal once it was studied. Once you can catch one, you can catch another. There seemed to be a lot of cloak and dagger surrounding the Quantra group, but from the persons inside that I had spoken to, they were well-funded, well-planned group with an actual plan of capture, study, and release, much more than any public available group that I had seen. The protocols have been posted since nearly 2011 and claim that they go back all the way to 28. A capture would change everything. I take a step back and look at the new situation. Why has it been so quiet? Many hours went by before there was another update. The community gets upset and starts claiming that Ed Smith isn't even a real person. YouTubers attack that Ed Smith doesn't even exist. Then the updates fall silent. A few interviews with D.W. Lee pop up confirming Ed Smith is indeed a real person, and some personal comments on Facebook emerge stating the same thing. Steve Coles, the Squatch detective, even goes on record saying he had spoken to him personally, and my nerves begin to ease. Okay, there's still hope that this event is actually going on. Finally, December 28th, 2012, another post by Mr. Ed Smith. Well, Mr. Alexander and myself have been negotiating all day, and up until about an hour ago, I'm proposing a conference call or a meeting between the principals of Quantra, the MABRC, Dr. Meldrum, if available, Melissa Hoobie, no idea why, myself and some others, I hope, can come to the agreement on this. There will be a press release on the future of Quantra's timetable. It's their call, and all of us are going to have to suck it up and accept it. There is an issue with the specimen, and health concerns are paramount, and I do not know specifics of the detail of the condition of the specimen, but I think everyone would be respectful of the attention to this matter. I will keep you posted. And remember, the MABRC membership, ownership, management, organization members, forum members, and affiliates are not responsible for content of my post. It's as if he's distancing himself, but wanting to be included all at the same time. Now, what's that all about? How exciting. Then I notice the distancing of Ed Smith's statements, and the MRZ is not responsible for him. Ed himself is claiming all responsibility. All right, secrecy. I can get on board with that. Give the community enough information to know that the project is moving forward. Obviously, if they have time for the meetings and capture the subject is under control, the health of the animal is not paramount. Well, that does happen, even to healthy animals, when they're inside of captivity. So the next announcement comes a few days later in January of 2013. A meeting will be held between Ed Smith and the principals of Quantra in Houston to work out the details of the meeting between Quantra and the MABRC, and those individuals have been decided upon. Further details will be posted as available. That was 4 days. Story had cooled into the announcement of the meeting set in Texas. And then again, another post by Ed Smith. It's time to clear up some of the background on the original 6. Now, there was this whole clandestine, I don't know, super spy, double knot spy mobile. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. The stuff that was going on with this original 6 group, as though they were, super soldiers and were in immediate ideas of being able to capture a Bigfoot as many times as they went to, and it just went on and on and on to the point that it almost became, and then did become, completely unbelievable. So now we have the existence of the timeline of Quantra and where Ed Smith fit into the whole group, and how the group operates into the commanders of the new group. It seemed to be keeping Ed in the loop with enough information, yet not enough to do any damage to an ongoing operation. Like, why was Ed Smith even involved in any of this crap in the first place? He had already been on the oust. So here we sit, waiting for another tidbit of the saga of Daisy. Did the meeting go down? Did Daisy perish as a result of the capture? Something else was ailing from, or is she still alive? Will Ed Smith post further updates? Well, let's take a look at the next edition of As the Squatch Turns. So it went on. This comes up now, January 5th. Days of silence. The captured project finally had moved forward. Apparently, Melissa Hoobie had been contacted and been asked to be part of a bridging group in regards to daisies in the box. Ed Smith answers some questions and gives the Bigfoot community some new information on where he fits in and of his now non-disclosure and non-compete agreements, as well as many details on the trap that could have been used to capture the Bigfoot. It was incredible to me that it seems that the days had moved forward into the new year, that hope finally was renewed. They may just have a Bigfoot understudy. At least that's what we thought at the time. Ed Smith had requested that evidence be presented at a bridging meeting to include pictures, video, x-rays, CAT scans, and he feels that should have been completely by the meeting, be completed by the meeting time. He also states that they should be able to see the specimen's blood, hair, scat, as well as the captured animal from what I took from the report. Do you have any information on the alleged cage that was built? I retained the rights to my written work so I can talk about the trap unit, but photos and videos and CAD drawings of the property are of the Quantra group. It's just, it went on and on and on about details. It was like building Noah's Ark feet and exactly how it was constructed. They said it was made out of aluminum and carbon fiber and explosive cylinders. I mean, it was just to a point that was so absolutely ridiculous. But then again, it was just something that may have been used. We never did find out what they claimed it was used, what was used to trap it. I was not sure the exact setup of the capture of the Bigfoot. The Contra owners have been elusive to it. And Ed Smith was finally asked, why should anybody believe any of this? And Ed Smith said, well, I'm posting information. It's everybody's right to believe it or not. I still have issues with some of the information that they should know at this point, as I started above to question 1. Well, there you go. For many, believing is seeing. And it'll take much more of a report to convince the Bigfoot community. However, now after 4 or 5 days, there are still no pictures, still no video, and no one's actually seen the creature. And with that big giant gulp to clear my throat, sorry, it is just going to be one of those nights. If that kind of stuff bothers you, you might as well clear out the night. Woo! It's in bad shape. All right, hey, let's take a moment and listen to our Quasi of the Week featuring Mr. Dean Cooper, the magician. And now, Quasi-theories from a quasi-scientist with your host, Dean Cooper.
This is a true story. Back in college, I moved off campus to a 2-bedroom apartment in an old 3-flat building. My roommate, Kim, was 2 years older than me. It was a platonic relationship. She and my girlfriend were good friends. I add at this point that my roommate was definitely psychic, and I am fairly sensitive to that whole realm as well. Shortly after moving in, Kim began complaining about visits, late at night, by an evil presence. I would be asleep when the visitor showed up and didn't notice anything. It started showing up while I was awake, and I definitely could tell it was at her end of the apartment. Creepy, evil feeling. Chills up and down the spine. The usual spooky sensations. A few weeks after this started, Kim told me what she knew about this presence. It was, of course, a black magician she and I had studied under way back in old Atlantis, coming to torment us now in his astral body. He was getting even with us for turning from the dark path to white good magic and fighting him and his evil ways. I maintained a neutral attitude to this news, but I knew something nasty was afoot. A month into these shenanigans, Kim came knocking at my bedroom door around 2 a.m, wrapped in her blanket, begging to sleep on the floor next to my bed. She said the guy was somewhat afraid of me because, back on Atlantis, I had become a stronger white magician than he was a black magician. I said she could sleep on the floor and use my spare blanket too. Half an hour later, the booger showed up at the other end of my bedroom. I could see a black glowing cloud, maybe 3 feet across, hovering about 5 feet off the floor. Yes, glowing black, with dull, dark red tinges, radiating a nasty, evil feeling. Kim was sitting on the floor, arms wrapped around her knees with a horrified look on her face. I sat up in bed, crossed my legs in a yoga posture called Siddhasana, and began mentally repeating a Sanskrit mantra I knew, directing my attention at the cloud. I could feel it getting more pissed off, but knew it was not capable of actually hurting anyone other than scaring the bejesus out of you. It faded away quickly. It made one more minor appearance when my girlfriend came for a weekend visit. She saw it and felt it, but it was much less strong and was gone in a few seconds. I used the same treatment on it as before. You may read the text of this on my blog at bhaidin.com. That's BHAIDIN.com.
That's right. Bhaidin.com. Okay, folks, let's take a look at who is hanging out with us live tonight in the Hangout. Go back up to the top of this mess tonight and see who's hanging out there. Miss Natalie Smith, she's checking us out tonight. How you doing there? Tim McCune, he too is in the house. That's right. We'll take that off there for a moment. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm not doing well. Hey, Bella Allegri is in the house. Hey, how you doing? Glad you are there. Jim. Hello, Jim. How can it be a rerun when it's live? Ken. How you doing, pal? Glad you're with us. There, Mr. Cameron Young, the great Canadian investigator himself. Mr. Rod Dupree, he's always in the place to be. Shane Barber's in the house. Hello there, hello there. Kenneth the Viking. Ken the Viking. Howdy, howdy. There he is, Mr. Dean Cooper himself. our quasi-theories. That's right. Hello, sir. Lance Windsor, the Great White North investigator. Boy, I am having a difficult time speaking tonight. Oh, God. Eloaxaquano 24. The scene on the movie is called Bigfoot Captured. It was a History Channel mockumentary. Was where the picture actually came from. If you're there, let's see here. Moving on down. Hello there, Aaron Duncan, and I'm sure Mary's hanging out with him as well. Hello, glad you are with us as well tonight. You're Hobo Man 5. How? Let's see here. California Pickin' Drew's in the house. Hello there, Drew. Glad you're with us. Obsidian Radio's checking in as well. Hello there. Hello there. Frank Smith. That's right. Never did see pictures of your motorcycle back, Rob. We got to post them up on Facebook so we can see it. All right. Moving on down here. Patrick Cassidy. Hello there. Yeah, that's right. Glad you were hanging out with us tonight. And there's Dave Jackson's in the house with us as well. The Life and Times of JCM. Jevin's checking in tonight. Hello there, Jevin. Brown Dwarf is with us as well. Hello there, the Brown Dwarf. Sean, my boy, he couldn't make it tonight. He was just overworked, so he had to get himself some sleep. The Reverend Matthew Gaines. Reverend. The Pirate. Hello there, the Pirate. So glad you could join us as well. Nope, I do not have the Rona. But I do have I'm going insane because there's 36 cases in a county of 330,000 people and we're still freaking locked up. But we're not trying to get political on the show tonight. That is for sure. So, hello, everybody. Glad you are with us. Let's get back as the Squatch turns. That's right. Off here to episode number 3. Yeah. Here we go. It's like the third day of Christmas. On the third day of Christmas. Now, the reports again are released. Melissa Hovey, who, if you don't know, was the one who sued Phil Poling of Para Breakdown over a copyrighted Bigfoot picture from a Bigfoot movie that she didn't even own. Somehow got herself wrapped up in the middle of all of this crap as well. They started a question and answer between her and Ed Smith, and as of the 7th of January, that's of 2013, that's right. She'd asked and gotten some more questions. Ed Smith admits that he completed his meeting in Houston, Texas with the principals of Quantra. It goes on to say that Quantra are the ones requesting a bridge meeting with independent researchers, of which Melissa Hovey had been selected among other undisclosed persons. Ed indicates that it was not difficult to get a meeting in the framework suggested to me, as they're indebting a claim of a captured Bigfoot still being available for study. Ed Smith goes on to say that outside of the information already shared, that he's still on the outside, but just a little closer to the window. He was then asked for information in regards to Mr. Alexander, to which he gives the background of a middle-aged family man. They next discussed the capture and the cages that Ed Smith explains he was only referring to the original Sixes operations and not those of Quantra, of course, so because he doesn't have any actual information about anything. It goes on to talk about the O2 knockout system. Yeah, you heard me right. Carbon dioxide knockout system. And the examination team being 18 to 20 persons brought to a location at a time of need, alerted by a flash list, which he was mistakenly still on, and received the first message that begin the saga of Daisy. Ed also discloses that there were paid persons and have been contracted and signed NDA agreements with the new group. So what does it actually means? Well, my take is the reports of Daisy in the box still hold hope for many in the Bigfoot community. Ed Smith seems to have a lot of background and detailed information dating back several years that the situation is contrived and it is the longest con in the business so far. I'm still holding out my personal feelings, trying to keep an objective look into the dealings of the story. Really attempting to get background information. Has Dr. Meldrum been contacted? Who are the vets and the doctors working on the animal? Just how long will they keep Daisy in captivity? Keep an eyeball out for the next As the Squatch Turns. We'll skip a couple here. We'll go up to the 5th edition of it. Now, the last reportment, Jeffrey Meldrum, of course, had been named to be part of the bridging team. Personally, I asked Dr. Meldrum was aware and agreed, as reported, that he was. In fact, in just released a statement by Dr. Meldrum, I was contacted today by an intermediary, not one in the group itself, to see if I was interested in asking for some information. We'll see. It seemed that the doctor is not yet committed to being part of the team as requested by the good for what the good doctor is looking for. Dr. Meldrum is a greatly respected professor at Idaho State University and a well-known proponent of the North American Sasquatch. It makes me feel better that he hasn't just jumped in with both feet and has shown caution as he should in such a situation. That was back in the days when I still believed he had some credibility or integrity, but unfortunately, we all know what happened to that. We'll take a look at episode number 6 here real quick. Dr. Meldrum's involvement was kind of still up in the air. So far, the story goes, the release of the info of the Team Quantra has Daisy in the box. Next scenes that they had captured indeed occurred. The captured animal is on the move to a study facility. A phone meeting was called to attempt to move the project along. Ed Smith confirms the animal in captivity has health concerns. A meeting is set in Texas with Ed Smith and Quantra. The meeting is concluded and calls go out to seek members of the breeding team. All of the suggested members are contacted and the team is assembled. The date, the time, and the location are agreed upon. The story will continue. Will the team include Dr. Meldrum? How much evidence will the team get to view? What exactly is the location that they'll be going to? It just kept getting drug out further and further and further. Episode 7 was on January 9th. Here we are 20 days into this. After days of emails back and forth, yet another question and answer report comes from, I can't even say her name anymore. What answers does she reveal? Well, absolutely nothing. Ed was asked about how the group might use the captured animal for profit. He had several answers, but still admits that he has no insight into what Quantra's thoughts actually were. So Ed admits that he has no further information about the captured Bigfoot and has seen the contact inside Quantra has been silenced. So here we are 20 days into it, and we still don't have any more information than what we had to begin with. Moving on up here to episode 8. Just before 10 a.m., a message from Dr. Meldrum got posted. We just learned by way of Kathy Strain that the entire bridge group meeting has been canceled. What has happened? Is Daisy okay? Did Quantra pull out? It was a tense hour until the next announcement was released by the independent researchers. Official announcement regarding Ed Smith Quantra from independent researchers. In communication with Ed Smith, Quantra claimed to have involved a public relations firm that negated the need for outside researchers' involvement. This occurred within 48 hours after the announcement of the composition of the list of independent researchers. There has been nothing presented to the individuals involved to substantiate any claim of Ed Smith. The researchers involved attempted to verify the claims in reference to Quantra, but were denied an opportunity to do so. No one involved seems to know. Quantra hires a PR firm that decides against using the best person in the field to verify the claims of its evidence. There you go. So we move on. The news with a secret meeting in Tennessee. Why cancel the bridging group? Aren't they here to help? Ownership seems split on what path to take next. Should they continue to study Daisy or should it stop? Is the animal alive or has it perished from mishandling of the specimen as alluded to by Ed Smith? While Ed is now positive that Quantra has a live or dead specimen, they are no longer willing to share any information with anyone. That's right. Is it going to continue on? Well, let's find out in episode 9. That's right. We're getting down to the closing end of this nonsense. Where the heck is episode 9? Was there not an episode 9? I could have sworn there was an episode 9, but apparently there was no episode 9. It was episode 10, and that was the end of the monster. All out of popcorn. The finale. That's right. The silence of the source. It's been 2 days and no new news of Daisy. It's all gone away. Is it still going on, or the leaks just plugged up? With the MABRC's decision to suspend the posting abilities of Ed Smith and the outing of the real identity of Ed Smith, does this mean that it was all a big troll? Is it possible that the secret team, now known as Contra, is still in the process of studying the Bigfoot as reported? Truth is unless someone contacts Ed Smith and gets an admission of hoaxing, we may never know. The entire story played out just like a TV movie, as I predicted in episode 1. We watched the events unfold. First came the cryptic message, then the posting on Facebook, as it wouldn't get any attention on the MABRC forum. Then the pickup by the bloggers. Interest grew and the buzz began, and it generated a loud buzz. Could it be real? Please be real. Yes, finally, somebody has captured a Bigfoot and transported it for study. Amazing claims are being thrown around by a lot of people, and it seems that it's not the case. The only person to make any claims was Ed Smith. The community never heard from Quantra directly. We were only given privy to information related to Ed Smith's interaction with the elusive Mr. Alexander. As the story played on, it was revealed that the animal's health was now a concern, another ploy used to cause sympathy and urgency in the situation. Now the community has to rally around the cause of a bridging group meeting. Please let us help you. Help yourself. Ed claimed to have met with the Quantra in Texas to try and plead with them to let experts in on the study of at least see the evidence. It seemed they agreed that the bridging group was set. And once again, that wasn't true. The independent researchers were ready to go, but Dr. Meldrum had stated publicly that he indeed been contacted, but had asked for more information and a we'll see. So it wasn't really set. Yet the story continued now, and the team was set. The date and time were agreed upon and announced shortly. Once again, we heard nothing. And then the next day, the story declines. Dr. Meldrum announces that the bridging group team had been canceled. The news quickly spread. I even managed some insiders to see if it was true, and yes, confirmed the meeting was canceled and will not happen in the future. There's no further information. It seems everyone involved has gone silent. Not much has been heard from anyone involved in the story at all. Ed Smith, of course, was suspended from the MABRC forum, which was the only contact we had with him. And is that really the end of it? It all feels unfinished. Something isn't right. Someone has to pay for this. Many people are enraged. They scream, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. Does the blame fall on the MABRC? It was their director that brought the post to the Facebook community. If it had stayed on the MABRC forums, it may not have gotten as big as it did. Who benefited from the story? Pretty much everyone did. Anyone with a successful blog or a YouTube channel made a few bucks during all of this. Was there any real money to be made? I can't seem to find any. Was this just a stunt? Where's the payoff? I can't see the reason other than to brag of outdoing Freezer Boy for the worst troll ever. Where does it leave us all? Well, it leaves me feeling a bit let down. I was really looking forward to the climax of the saga. Either they have it in a box or they don't. And there's still the smallest chance that this story doesn't end there. It's possible that the event actually did happen, that this is all just disinformation in an attempt to buy more time to resolve the health issue with Daisy or allow it to perish without being on display. Possibly the animal recovered and they could go back to the original plan of releasing the Bigfoot back into the wilds if it got better. Only time will tell. Since this is the season finale of As the Squatch Turns, I invite you to come and watch the live podcast of the Squatchers Lounge podcast. That's right. That is exactly where all of this came from. This was the introduction to the Squatchers Lounge podcast. And, it really turned out to be pretty decent. The Squatchers Lounge podcast has been probably one of the better things in my life since, from for a long time, and it gives me something to look forward to, seeing you guys out there every single week checking me out. If you guys watch the show, we so much appreciate it. And from there, I don't know where we go from here anymore. We're going to keep moving on. There's a whole bunch more hoaxing to go through this season, and next season will be another one to take care of. So here we are. Be safe, be healthy. Check through here, make sure I didn't miss anybody. I saw Root Man had checked in. Can Squanch has gotten on board. I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss anybody else before we go out of here tonight. All right, with that, we do have a Bigfoot Campfire Story about the Paiute Indian Braves. And this is actually one of my favorite stories to tell. So take a listen. Love you guys. Be healthy. Be safe. We'll see you next week. And may the Squatch be with you. You guys hear that? I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure that's a Bigfoot. Let me tell you a story. Most of the northern Sierras are long known for their deer and bear hunting grounds. Even for the Paiute tribes of California, the Mikiwa Braves would build pole-lined wikis for the hunting season and hunt clear into the 8,000-foot herds. It was known that the Pahizoho, or Bigfoot, roamed these lands late into the season, as they were here for the same reason we were: food. The general thought was that the Bigfoot were fattening up for the winter and were just to be left alone. While none of the Braves in this camp had ever seen the Pahizoho, the stories of those that have were widely told. And it wasn't until Little Wing was out much later than he should have been that all of that changed. Screaming Rooster came to the butcher pit and asked if anyone had seen the young brave, as he should have been back before nightfall. The Pahizoho was known to roam the high peaks here, and this year the deer were so lean that we had to venture much higher than years before. Rooster instantly gathered his things, as no one had seen the young brave. He asked myself, Broken Antler, and Three Paws to come with him in search. We took the now well-worn paths into the hunting grounds, as there is where Little Wing should have been returning from, with fresh kills for us to butcher. Deer camps were much like a production line between the hunters, butchers, and the main camp. After the deer were processed, the skins, meat, organs, and tendons would be transported by horse sled back from the hunting grounds to the tribal valley village, a trip that regularly takes one day in and one day back. Many times the fresh blood of the deer kills will attract a bear or a mountain lion, and it'll spook the horses, causing a brave to have to walk back to camp. So that was the course we set on. With the moon at full beam, the mountainside was lit up almost as if it were daytime. The high evergreen trees towered high above us, blocking the sky like the passing clouds during the day. And the dusty, rocky trails were so dry that it would create a dust trail that anyone could follow, as the rains had not fallen in many moons now. It was about 30 minutes into the ride when we spotted the first horse. It was Little Wing's pack horse, still loaded with the deer bodies tied to its back. Three Paws grabbed the pony and tied it up to a nearby tree so we could continue to look for Little Wing. We continued into the night, now more worried than ever. A light fog now started to set in, making things on the ground much harder to see. After another 20 or 30 minutes passed, we saw Little Wing's horse in the distance. Rooster launched his pony into a full run and hopped off at Little Wing's pony's side, and then began screaming and wailing in horror. As we approached, we could see him holding Little Wing in his arms, plainly dead. And as we got closer, it looked as if he had been eaten upon. Whatever had attacked Little Wing was clearly not any normal animal we encounter. The bite marks looked nearly human, yet far too big to be any man's. It had broken his neck in the battle, and at some point began to feast upon his flesh. What type of broken, vile creature would do such a thing? None of this made any sense to any of us, but for now, we had to return Little Wing to camp and make the proper arrangements. We helped Rooster onto his pony and sat Little Wing in front of him as Three Paws grabbed the last missing pony and we all headed back to camp. As we had passed the place where we had tied the pony up with the deer bodies on it, it was now down on its side and heavy labored breathing, all tangled in the ropes that the deer bodies were completely gone. The ropes discarded, not ripped apart, but actually untied, and now all around the horse's legs. Leaving from the scene were giant bare footprints, much larger than any of the braves in our camp. That was when Screaming Rooster, still tearful in mourning, put it all together and uttered just one word, Pahizoho. Three Paws got the pony back to his feet, and we all slowly made our way back to camp. Once back near camp, the three braves collected the attention of the others as they slowly rode past fire after fire with Screaming Rooster and Little Wing at the lead. By the time we got Little Wing down from the horse, many of the others had gathered. Screaming Rooster, filled with sadness and losing of his brother, screamed out in a rage as others began to ask what happened. Pahizoho, Pahizoho, Pahizoho. That is what happened. Nothing else has teeth like a man to cause the wounds and would eat upon a child. He held his brother close. He then laid him down to rest at the edge of camp. Tonight, we'll start the cry ceremony. Quickly, the camp built a central fire, and the braves moved into their places, each of them in a circle around the fire, dancing, singing, rhythmic shaking of cords, stomping of the feet. It went on for hours and hours until each of them fell out from near exhaustion, and the fire died down. As the last of the embers sparked in the fire pit, we were all awakened by the howl of the Pahizoho, and it wasn't very far from us at all. It was long known in the Paiute legend that once a Pahizoho attacked and tasted the flesh of a man, that it would only crave that source of food and must be hunted and destroyed to protect the rest of the tribe. So the trio knew what they had to do. Once the daylight broke, they would hunt for its den and see that the right thing was done. At daybreak, Screaming Rooster, Three Paw, and I quickly gathered our war gear, and the two others joined us from another camp. Silver Pony and Black Snake were cousins to Little Wing and would hear no more of being left behind on this needed hunt. Other parties broke up into small groups and began to cover the mountainside in search of the Pahizoho that killed Little Wing. Every now and then we would cross paths with another group and share where we had been to search and attempt to cover as much ground as possible. It wasn't until we arrived near the caves and the rock crops that we began to smell it. A pungent odor that could only be described as wet animal and raw sewage mixed with bad food. And then Black Snake noticed the tracks of a man far larger than any of us. Silver Pony launched an arrow high into the air as a signal to any other groups that may be close. We all dismounted, tied the ponies down, and began to search. The smell was evident and becoming more stinging to the eyes and nose, like rotting meat and feces all mixed together. We went around a blind corner, and we moved and saw a surprise water source, a small, moving water leak of a puddle with fresh, bloody, extremely large handprints all around the rim of it. A little further into the rock outcrop, and there we could see it in the corner of the rocks. It was the Pahizoho. Badly wounded, with Little Wing's blade wedged plainly in its thigh, Screaming Rooster took no time in placing several arrows into the hulking creature, not so much in revenge, but it seemed more in the pity of the suffering animal, as a tear ran down Rooster's face, and the Pahizoho moved no more. The men dragged the creature from its death location out onto the open, as other groups of hunters arrived. Little Wing's blade was thrust so hard into the beast's thigh that it went clear through the bone. Screaming Rooster forced the blade from the creature's leg so hard that you could hear the bone break, and then he collected his arrows and placed the creature's eyes at rest. Upon looking at what appeared to be more man than beast, it was covered in hair from head to toe, nearly all the same length. A large rounded head sloping backwards with a large ridge above its eyes. The arms longer than a man's through the elbow, hung strangely to the knee, and legs more like a man's than any other creature, seemed muscular and strong, made more for walking than running. The jaw somewhat low on the skull and was full of teeth larger and wider than ours, but built for eating vegetation as much as meat. Not what we expected at all. Laying there at peace, we could see why they were looked upon as a lost tribe. It seemed that they were almost nearly men. Nearly. Rooster then bent down and cut a finger from the beast and strung it through a rawhide line and tied it around his neck. Not really knowing what to do next for the creature, the men gathered some rocks in a circle and piled a fire tall without lighting it, a symbol of their respect of its passing. The braves mounted their ponies and followed Screaming Rooster back to camp. As they rode the trail back, they began to realize that this path was the exact trailhead where they had found Little Wing the night before. It was just a chance meeting with a very bad ending. Throughout the entire tribe, all of the braves who could remember actually seeing a pahizoho, this was the only encounter where somebody had actually been attacked. Good or bad, at least we know this one won't attack anyone else in the tribe. Screaming Rooster, Silver Pony, Black Snake, and I gathered up our things at camp and brought Little Ring, now wrapped in a blanket, back down the mountain to the tribe's home in the valley to join the family in the crying ceremony that would last for 3 days and 3 nights in celebration of Little Wing's life, while others on the mountain would do the same. And such is the tale of the Paiute braves hunting a Bigfoot in the Sierras. Thanks for listening. I'm Reverend Jeff, and may the Squatch be with you.